Nithyananda! My name is Chandrika. I'm from Los Angeles, California, and I was a customer service representative for 11 years.
And my name is Ma Chandrikananda, and I'm from Seattle, Washington, USA, and I was a night auditor at a Hilton Garden before I came here. And it was nice and quiet, which I like.
And we're here today to talk about our spiritual journey.
And how we became Hindu.
Yes. And so basically, for me, it actually started off really young. My parents, at 2 years old, had left the Catholic Church in search of, more spiritual truths, which led us to guru after guru after guru, who was always originated from India. So of course, it was Hinduism the whole time, learning about that, and then plus, as a really young child, oddly enough, most kids just think about playing and where are my friends at and all that. I was actually thinking like, okay, what's going to happen when I leave this world? It's like all of eternity, so I kind of want to know. And it actually frightened me because I didn't know the answer. I actually later on found out, when I got older, I found out what I was having was panic attacks. I was really freaked out by this. So it really drove me and pushed me to find out, I want to know the truth. I want to know what's my future going to be like after this life, because this life is only what, if you're lucky, 100 years. If you're lucky,
yeah.
Then what? All of eternity? Like really?
Oof, you're gone.
Yeah. So basically, So I would follow different gurus that my parents would take me to, and I would learn all kinds of things about Hinduism and the deities and all the fun stories and all the spiritual truths. Like, it is incredible, everything that I learned in a short period of time. Plus I was doing research on my own, and plus learning different healing techniques. It was a really interesting path, actually. But really, I could think of, oh, poor me, I was having panic attacks and all this stuff. But really, that was what the driving point was. I was like, I need to know. And that's what really pushed me along my spiritual path. Otherwise, I would have been stagnant. So how about you? How did you start off?
So actually, my dad is a very, very intense spiritual seeker. And even before I was born, he was reading the autobiography of a yogi.
My parents too. Same thing. That's actually how they started off. Yeah.
And he was a member of the, what's it called, the fellowship? I forget what it. I forget the fellowship.
Yeah.
But he was an intense seeker. He read all different gurus and different books, and so I was born into that. But when I was growing up, when I was a young child, he never really specifically told me anything about Hinduism. I had no idea what that even was. Like, I've never once heard the word. I saw the books in the background, but he didn't elaborate. We would travel around and we lived in nature, so I could say that I was a hippie. And when I was like 4 years old, we were in Nevada City in California, Northern California, beautiful area. I loved it. It was so mystical, and I felt like a fairy and a wild child, got to climb trees. And he saw a Lakshmi in this shop that we were walking by, and he just spontaneously decided that we need to get her. And she's a huge 13-pound deity. And we went inside, and I forget the cost, but she was definitely in the hundreds. She's very beautiful, and he bought her for me. And so we had her with us while we would travel around through the different states: California, Nevada, Utah, Washington, Idaho, Montana, pretty much all of the West and the Midwest.
Now, when your dad had purchased that, did you know that that was the goddess of wealth and beauty?
Actually no. He didn't. He just said this was Lakshmi, a Hindu goddess. That was probably the first time I actually heard the word Hindu, but he didn't really elaborate on who she was. He just said that she was mine. And I was like, cool.
She's beautiful, so why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. So when I was a kid, spirituality wasn't really known to me, even though I lived a spiritual life. It wasn't until I became like 13 and 12 that my dad really pushed it onto me, and I rebelled. I wanted nothing to do with spirituality, just because he was so intense about it. He would have my brother and I sit down for hours and just tell us, really beat it into us, that this is what you need to do, you need to be spiritual. And I'm a rebel by heart, so I was like, I'm not going to do it. No. But I did have a question in my childhood of, how can we live forever? Like, if there's life after life, wouldn't things get boring? The unknown to me was very scary.
That's exactly it. That's actually, I think, what caused my panic attacks is the fact that I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be bored out of my mind for all of eternity? Really?
Yes.
It freaked me out.
It's like I didn't know what happens after this life.
Exactly.
There's only so much you can do.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So I really relate when you said that.
Yeah.
But and I too also had panic attacks, really big ones. And my dad actually went to Seattle, and he got me connected to a guru that he found on YouTube, which we share, back in the end of 2007. And so I watched his videos, but I didn't care at that time. So it wasn't until 2009 where I first met my guru, Nithyananda, that things shifted for me. That I really started focusing on what it was that I wanted in life, who I was, and what life is, and started asking these deeper and deeper truths and questions in life.
So yeah, so I also found out about Paramahansa Nithyananda. We call him Swamiji.
Yes.
And so yeah, my mom actually is the one that introduced me to him. I didn't meet him in person at first at that time. He has centers all over the world. So actually 10 minutes from my home in Montclair, because I'm from Claremont actually to be specific, in Los Angeles. So yeah, I was able to attend a lot of the 2-day workshops and a lot of the programs that they had. So many free programs that they had. They were even having yoga at the time. It was really great. So I was really enjoying myself. The only problem with me is I had a guru previous to that, which I was with for quite some time. I think maybe around 10 years. So I was kind of like, I was like feeling bad, like, oh my gosh, I don't know, you know, is this right? Should I have 2 gurus? Or do I pick? What do I do? I was really, I had a lot of turmoil like inside of me about it. One day at a workshop, I believe it was, someone had asked, you know, a question that I'm like, oh my god, that's my question. It was, you know, how do I know if you're my guru? And I was like, oh my god, I want to know. Is this my new guru? Is this the one I'm supposed to follow? And then Swamiji said something like, you know, if you're always thinking of me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it clicked and hit me right then. I'm like, he's my guru. So I completely dropped everything else and I focused on Swamiji, and it was the best decision I had made. I mean, literally, I've had so many amazing experiences since. And then I finally had the opportunity to come to India, and I've been living here in India since April 17th, 2016. So yeah, it's quite some time, and I've been having time of my life, meeting amazing people like you.
Thank you. Aw,
So
same. I feel the same. But I also met him in the Seattle. He came to Seattle in 2009. He did a Kalpatara program, and so we were living in Wyoming at the time, and we made the trip up there. And on the second day, we had darshan. So all throughout that program, I was honestly bored out of my mind. I did not care about meditation. I was like, sitting for half an hour felt like 2 hours. I was like, when is this going to be over? But it wasn't until the last day where we got energy darshan, we got to go up there, and my dad really wanted me to write down something that I wanted from him, because he asked, you know, write down something, anything that you want, and it'll become a reality.
Yeah.
And I was thinking and thinking, it's like, I don't know what I want. So I went up there without any paper and no idea what I was going to say. So I go up there on stage, and he was a lot different. He was skinnier, and he was very bubbly, and I get up there, have my hands up, and he's like, what do you want, Ma? And I'm like, I just kept smiling, and I couldn't think of anything to say. And then he laughs, and he shakes his head like he does, and he's like, just blessings. I'm like, yes. And then he's like, okay. And then he gives me, he puts his thumb on my third eye, gives me a big hug, and then he just gives me a bunch of like sweets. So much that it was like I couldn't hold it all. And then that moment, it was history after that. I've always been connected to him. It hasn't always been like an easy ride. I've definitely gone through ups and downs, but I can say
That's the spiritual path
that's
for you.
the
Honestly,
spiritual path.
if you didn't have those ups and downs, how would you grow? So honestly, exposing those parts that we bottle up so deep inside, you know, that's what makes you grow complete with it, and then you become a better person because of it. So we've grown so much together, and we're so grateful to have met Swamiji and meet each other in the process. So thanks for watching.
Yes, we'll be back with another video.
Yes, definitely.
Alright, blissful, Nithyananda.